Okay, so we're back with politics again, and it appears that as the ceasefire expires in a couple of hours' time, America is hell-bent on going back to war. What are the ramifications and implications of this? Uh, it appears Mr. Trump has gone berserk. We don't know what's going on in his mind. We need to discuss that and many more. Is Mustafa? My name is still Afolabi. What's going on next, Mustafa?
Argue that this war serves two functions for Trump: to make money through the stock market, to make money through weapons manufacturers, and to keep Iran guessing. But every step of the way, America's never wanted peace. They want to continue having sustained war against Iran, and the only reason they did the ceasefire diplomacy, they had no intentions of coming up to an agreement, was just to reassemble. And if you look at the satellite, it shows you to restock armament for another bombardment of Iran, which will probably start tomorrow or this weekend, most likely. I sound this sounds sad, so I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I'm hoping that I'm not being analytical here. But when you look at it, Afolabi, during a period where they called the ceasefire, they didn't have interceptor missiles and they didn't have standoff missiles. So they needed to rebuild those. And I don't think they've built up enough to really do anything more than a massive bombardment of Israel. But I think, I mean, not of Israel, Iran. I think they're going to do that. And I think that every step of the way during the negotiations, they made conditions which couldn't be kept, like, oh, we'll do a ceasefire with you, but Israel can attack Lebanon. That then Iran said, no, we're not going to go for that. Then they said, okay, we'll do a ceasefire, but we'll do a blockade, and you can't. They're giving Iran conditions that can't be accepted because they don't want Iran to accept any conditions because they don't want peace. They want to continue to bomb Iran, to blockade it, to choke the economy of Iran and thereby choke the economy of China. So all of this was a lie. And also, we now know that whenever America says, "Oh, we want to do meet for peace and negotiations," you can bet your mom's life, you can bet your children's life, you can bet your house. It's a lie. That's one thing you can take to the stock market. America never tells the truth when it comes to diplomacy. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you can see that the tactics of the US using diplomacy to buy time for military preparation is something they have been doing for years, and nobody trusts them anymore. And if you look at the way they are doing it, you can see that diplomatic efforts, it appears they are pressuring Iran into agreeing to the negotiations based on their own terms. But if you look at the way Iran is approaching it, they're more methodical. They are even willing to use emissaries and representatives to find a solution that will favor them on the long run. But it appears
But
America's
yeah, Paul, I don't think the U.S. doesn't have any intention. They don't have intentions of making. They don't even want Iran to surrender. They want to keep doing wars. So what they do is, I'm thinking they provoke Iran by giving them conditions that they know Iran will reject. Go
exactly.
ahead.
So it's like a pressure tactic. While Iran is going about it the right way, the US is using a pressure tactic to make it look as if it's diplomacy when it's not, because the agenda, it's actually war to continue escalation. But the reality of escalation to me is not logistically feasible. How do you deploy significant military assets such as carriers, bombs, and missiles across to the Middle East? It will take weeks, really. And if they continue in engaging in these diplomatic talks against an Iran that is already prepared, Iran is not naive to all these things. They know that behind the negotiations, there's a plan to strike. So Iran is probably ready. But I don't think
Yeah.
America can surprise Iran. It can't come all of a
No.
sudden. They're probably
Here-
prepared. And I feel the US cannot rush into a major war, a major bombardment. It will take weeks for them to strategically
No, but
target
here's what they can do.
for this.
They can
Yeah,
just let's say they have 300 missiles. No, they probably have thousands more. What they can do is just strike infrastructure and say, "Oh, look how we bombed them." Then they leave and come back next year again.
exactly.
But
Shock and awe.
that, yeah. But here's the thing: the numbers have been showing it would take the U.S. 4 to 5 years to replace all the missiles it's used and that have been destroyed and the bases and everything to build up. So this is irrational because the U.S. is going down a road which they may cause some pain for Iran. They may even beat Iran, but it's going to be very expensive for America, and I don't think they can do it. So this is irrationality. But when you look at the last irrational person was, remember, Hitler.
Yeah.
Hitler Hitler kept taking countries. Then he tried to take France, tried to take England. Then in the middle of a war
And
with England and
Poland.
France, Poland. Then he tried to take Russia. while you're still fighting a war against those four. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's
But his army was formidable. The German army was formidable. They killed 26 million Russian people, but at the end of the day, they lost. America's going down the
but the
same
Russian
route.
winter was just as formidable.
Yeah, the Russia. Same thing. The Iranians have the Hormuz, and they have the mountains and the terrain.
Yes, the
You're not,
topography, the terrain
you
is
can't beat.
hazardous. Is
But what you
seriously
can do is
hazardous.
you can cause a lot of economic damage to their country, but you're going to destroy your own country. Um, if Trump has any dreams of going to war with China and Russia, he can end it now because Iran has actually wasted the whole American military apparatus. Actually, that's the whole apparatus has been destroyed and been exposed as a paper tiger. All right, but that's my last thoughts. What do you think, Afolabi?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And replacing all these munitions that have been mindlessly wasted is not just having the money. I mean, if you look at the supply chain of having to manufacture thermal batteries, rocket motors, and modern missiles, it's going to take years and a lot of money to replenish the stock. So it's just mindless. Why continue to waste money on this kind of thing? And you look at the economic effect on consumer, it's only going to get worse. The only reason why the price of crude has gone down a little bit is because of this ceasefire thing. The moment it expires tomorrow, I'm sure the stock market will respond instantly and everything will begin to surge again. So I don't know, someone needs to talk to Trump, but like you said, I don't think he listens to anybody. And like I said yesterday, the US long-term strategy is to continue to fund wars and do wars to ensure that all their politicians get windfalls from
Yeah.
contracts that go to the Raytheons and the Lockheed Martins. Without those contracts, they feel the country will go into recession. How that is, I don't understand. I don't think they can
Yeah.
continue to bring dollars,
Uh,
really.
Also, it's a defeating mechanism because it's just like Rome. Once you have an economy that's based off of hegemony and military, even when it slows down, it would die totally if they shifted towards domestic agriculture and things. So they're trapped in having to continue trying to sustain a military machine because that's all they know. You get my point? That's all they know. They don't know. China's the opposite: win-win, build infrastructure around the world, include everybody, and make money through logistics. America makes money through piracy, raiding, and things. So it's the mindset of America. We have to remember America was started through genocide and slavery,
Oh,
and
yeah,
Europeans.
absolutely.
So this is all they know. So you can't teach Satan a new trick, or you can't teach God a new trick either. It's part of. It's just like human beings. If when I was young, I when I got angry, I beat people up. Even when I get older, once a child is past 6 or 7 years old, it's very hard to change their behavior. You get my point? So that's
So
the same thing with
absolutely,
America.
absolutely.
All right,
Habits,
take us out.
habits have been formed already. So basically,
Yeah,
I, I would like to see the next uh, uh, state of whatever US is going to do. I'm just curious how they're going to approach this because it's a stalemate and the stalemate is dangerous. But US needs to apply a little bit of common sense. Any rash action will lead into catastrophic consequences because, like you said at the opening of the show, Iran will just keep bombing all the Gulf allies, the Bahrains,
yeah,
and all of them. They will just bomb them to hell. How is that going to help anything? So I'd like to see what happens from tomorrow, basically.
yeah. Nice one. Did you see this guy took it seriously?